I bet you have ever felt like you were on the verge of success, only to have it slip through your fingers at the last moment. Have you experienced patterns where every time you're about to level up in life, something or someone pulls you back down? Maybe you've blamed bad luck, poor timing, or your own inadequacies. But what if I told you that someone in your life might be deliberately engineering your failure? Manipulation is one of the most insidious forms of sabotage because it operates below your conscious awareness. Unlike obvious enemies who attack you directly, manipulators work through psychological tactics that make you believe you're the problem. They convince you that your failures are your fault, that your limitations are real, and that your dreams are unrealistic, all while they're the ones pulling the strings, creating the obstacles, and designing your downfall. The statistics on manipulation in relationships are sobering. Research in behavioral psychology suggests that approximately 1 in 25 people exhibits significant manipulative tendencies, and studies on emotional abuse show that most victims don't recognize the manipulation until years after it's begun. That's because manipulators are skilled at making their sabotage invisible, disguising control as care, and framing their interference as help. But here's what you need to understand. Manipulation thrives in ignorance. The moment you can identify the tactics being used against you, their power diminishes dramatically. Manipulators rely on you not seeing the pattern, not connecting the dots, not trusting your own perceptions. Once you see what they're doing clearly, you can't unsee it, and that awareness becomes your protection. What makes manipulation particularly dangerous is that it doesn't just block your success, it rewires how you think about yourself. A manipulator doesn't just want you to fail once, they want you to believe you're someone who fails. They don't just want to stop one opportunity, they want you to stop reaching for opportunities altogether. They're not just interfering with your external circumstances, they're attacking your internal sense of capability, worth, and possibility. Today, we're going to expose 8 critical red flags that indicate someone is actively manipulating you toward failure. These aren't subtle suggestions or possible interpretations. These are clear, identifiable patterns that, once you recognize them, will completely change how you see certain relationships in your life. We'll explore the psychology behind each tactic, real-world examples of how they manifest, and most importantly, how to break free from these manipulative patterns and reclaim your path to success. If you've ever felt confused about why success seems so elusive, if you've ever wondered why you self-sabotage, or if you've ever sensed that someone in your life isn't quite who they present themselves to be, this information could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Let's dive in and unmask the manipulators in your life. Red flag 1. They constantly lower your expectations and redefine your capabilities. The first red flag is when someone consistently works to shrink your vision of what's possible for you. They systematically lower your expectations, question your capabilities, and redefine who they tell you that you are, and it's always a smaller, less powerful version than the truth. This manipulation starts subtly with seemingly caring statements. I just don't want you to get your hopes up and be disappointed. You need to be realistic about your situation. Not everyone is meant for that level of success. These statements sound like someone trying to protect you from hurt, but what they're actually doing is installing artificial limits in your mind. A manipulator will consistently remind you of past failures while ignoring your successes. They bring up that business that didn't work out 5 years ago when you mentioned starting a new venture. They reference that relationship that ended badly when you express interest in dating again. They keep a mental catalog of every time you've fallen short and use it as evidence that you shouldn't try again. They reframe your strengths as weaknesses or liabilities. If you're ambitious, they call it unrealistic. If you're confident, they label it arrogance. If you're persistent, they say you can't take a hint. They take the very qualities that could lead to your success and twist them into character flaws you should be ashamed of or work to eliminate. This tactic also involves comparison designed to make you feel inadequate. Success like that is for people with different backgrounds than yours. You don't have the education, connections, or resources that successful people have. They create a narrative where success is for others, not for you, and any attempt to reach for it is delusional. All while they're the ones pulling the strings, creating the obstacles, and designing your downfall. The psychological impact of this manipulation is profound. Over time, you internalize these lowered expectations. You stop dreaming big because you've been conditioned to believe big dreams aren't for you. You don't pursue opportunities because you've been convinced you're not qualified. You accept mediocrity because excellence has been defined as beyond your reach. The manipulator doesn't need to stop you anymore. You've learned to stop yourself. Red flag 2. They create dependency and sabotage your independence. The second red flag is when someone works to make you dependent on them while simultaneously undermining your ability to be self-sufficient. This creates a trap where you need them to function, giving them control over your life and success. This manipulation often begins with offers of help that seem generous. They volunteer to handle things for you, take care of responsibilities, or solve problems. Initially, this feels supportive, but over time, you realize they're not teaching you to do these things yourself. They're making sure you can't function without them. In financial relationships, this might look like someone managing your money, making you feel incompetent with finances, or creating situations where you're economically dependent on them. They might discourage you from advancing in your career, pursuing higher-paying opportunities, or developing financial literacy. Your financial dependency becomes their leverage. In personal relationships, they might discourage you from learning to drive, managing household tasks, or developing skills that would give you autonomy. Every time you express desire to learn or do something independently, they either convince you that you can't, or they take over and do it for you, reinforcing the message that you're incapable. They create crises that require their intervention, then position themselves as your savior. Problems mysteriously arise that only they can solve. Opportunities fall through, but they have a backup plan that involves you depending on them more. Over time, you start to believe you can't navigate life without their involvement. This manipulation also involves sabotaging your other support systems. They discourage relationships with friends or family who might help you become more independent. They criticize people who encourage your growth or self-sufficiency. They want to be your only source of support because that maximizes their control. The ultimate goal is learned helplessness. They want you to believe that you're fundamentally incapable of taking care of yourself, achieving things independently, or succeeding without their guidance and permission. Once you believe this, they don't need to actively hold you back anymore. You hold yourself back out of fear of being without them. Red flag 3. They gaslight you about your own abilities and achievements. The third red flag is gaslighting, where someone manipulates you into doubting your own competence, memory, and perception of reality, particularly regarding your capabilities and accomplishments. This psychological manipulation is designed to make you question yourself so thoroughly that you stop trusting your own judgment. Gaslighting about your abilities takes many forms. A manipulator might watch you successfully complete a task, then later insist you struggled with it or needed their help. Remember how you couldn't figure that out until I showed you? When in reality, you solved it entirely on your own. They're rewriting history to diminish your competence. They deny or minimize your achievements. You accomplish something significant and they claim it wasn't that impressive, or they question whether you really did it yourself. I'm sure someone must have helped you with that. Or, that doesn't seem like something you could do on your own. They plant seeds of doubt about your own capabilities in your mind. This manipulation also involves questioning your memory and perception. You remember events one way, they insist it happened differently, and their version always paints you as less capable or more dependent on them. Over time, you start to trust their version of events more than your own recollection because they're so confident and you've been made to feel uncertain. They might also reinterpret your emotions and reactions in ways that make you seem unstable or irrational. When you're rightfully proud of an accomplishment, they suggest you're being arrogant. When you're appropriately confident about your abilities, they imply you're delusional. When you trust your judgment, they frame it as you being stubborn or refusing to accept help. The goal of this gaslighting is to make you completely dependent on their perspective. If you can't trust your own assessment of your abilities, you'll constantly seek their validation and approval. If you question your own memory of your successes, you'll believe their version where you're less capable. This creates a psychological prison where they control your sense of reality. Red flag 4. They interrupt your momentum at critical moments. The fourth red flag is the pattern of disruption at crucial moments. Just when you're building momentum toward success, just when you're on the verge of a breakthrough, they create a crisis, distraction, or drama that derails your progress. The timing is too consistent to be coincidental. You're preparing for an important interview and suddenly they need you to handle an emergency that turns out to be not urgent at all. You're working on a crucial project with a tight deadline and they pick a fight or create emotional turmoil that consumes your energy and attention. You're about to make a major decision that could change your life for the better, and they flood you with doubts, alternative suggestions, or manufactured problems. This manipulation works because each individual instance seems legitimate. Emergencies happen, relationship issues arise, concerns are valid. But when you zoom out and look at the pattern, you notice that these disruptions always occur at your most critical moments. The manipulator has learned to recognize when you're close to success and has developed tactics to interrupt it. Sometimes the interruption is an emotional crisis. They suddenly need extensive support for a problem they're facing, and you're expected to drop everything to help them. Your goals get postponed while you attend to their needs. By the time you return to your pursuit, the opportunity has passed, the momentum is lost, or your energy is depleted. Other times, it's through creating doubt or paralysis through overanalysis. Just as you're ready to move forward, they raise concerns that require extensive consideration. They suggest alternatives that need to be researched. They introduce complications that slow you down. By the time you've addressed all their points, the window of opportunity has closed. Red flag 5. They disguise criticism as concern or constructive feedback. The fifth red flag is when someone consistently criticizes you and your efforts, but frames it as concern for your well-being or constructive feedback meant to help you. This makes their negativity harder to reject because it's packaged as care. Every time you share an idea, goal, or accomplishment, their first response is to identify problems. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm being realistic because I care about you. Someone needs to tell you the truth. They position themselves as the voice of reason, but their reason always leads to the same conclusion. You shouldn't try, you can't succeed, or you need to scale back your ambitions. The criticism is often delivered with just enough validity to make you doubt yourself. They don't make absurd claims. They identify real potential challenges, but they magnify them, present them as insurmountable, and use them as evidence that you should give up rather than overcome them. This manipulation is particularly effective because it's hard to argue against concern. If you push back against their negativity, they accuse you of being defensive, not accepting feedback, or refusing to see reality. They frame your resistance to their manipulation as your character flaw, not their toxic behavior. They also use the "I told you so" technique. If anything goes even slightly wrong in your pursuits, they remind you that they warned you, they predicted this, they tried to protect you. This reinforces the idea that you should listen to their limitations and discouragement because they know better than you do. The pattern becomes clear over time. Their concern always leads you to doing less, trying less, and achieving less. Real concern helps you navigate challenges. Manipulative concern convinces you not to face challenges at all. Red flag 6. They isolate you from people who support your success. The sixth red flag is when someone systematically separates you from people who believe in you, encourage your growth, and support your ambitions. They understand that you're stronger with allies, so they work to ensure you have none. This isolation is strategic. They identify the people in your life who see your potential and encourage you to pursue it, and they drive wedges between you and those people. They might criticize these supportive individuals, questioning their motives or suggesting they're not really your friends. They're just using you. They don't have your best interests at heart like I do. They also create drama or conflict between you and your supporters. They share things you supposedly said about those people, or tell you things those people supposedly said about you. They manufacture misunderstandings and tensions designed to fracture your relationships with people who would otherwise help you succeed. The manipulator positions themselves as your primary or sole source of support, but their support is conditional on you staying within the limits they've set. Meanwhile, people who would encourage you to break through those limits are systematically removed from your life. Pay attention if someone consistently has negative things to say about everyone else in your life who believes in you. Real supporters don't need to eliminate other supporters. Only manipulators fear you having a strong network. Red flag 7. They celebrate your setbacks and seem disappointed by your wins. The seventh red flag is the emotional pattern that reveals their true intentions. They show genuine pleasure when you fail and barely conceal disappointment when you succeed. Their emotional reactions are the opposite of what a true supporter's would be. When something goes wrong for you, when you face a setback or disappointment, watch their reaction carefully. A real supporter feels your pain, offers comfort, and helps you get back up. A manipulator trying to engineer your failure can't quite hide their satisfaction. There's a subtle energy shift, a slight smile, a gleam in their eye, or an enthusiasm in their engagement that feels wrong for the situation. They ask detailed questions about your failure, wanting to hear every aspect of how things went wrong. They seem energized by your difficulties. They might even appear more affectionate and attentive when you're down, not because they want to help you up, but because they prefer you in that diminished state. Contrast this with their reaction to your successes. When you achieve something, overcome an obstacle, or make progress towards your goals, they become subdued. The congratulations feel hollow. They change the subject quickly. They might even become irritable, withdrawn, or suddenly remember they need to be somewhere else. Some manipulators can't resist undermining your victories immediately. That's great, but followed by concerns, qualifications, or reminders that it's not as significant as you think. They can't let you enjoy success without diminishing it, because your success threatens their control over you. This inverse emotional relationship reveals their investment. They're invested in your failure, not your success. Someone who genuinely cares about you feels joy when you're thriving, even if it triggers momentary envy. They work through that because they love you. A manipulator can't get past it because your success disrupts their agenda. Red flag 8. They take credit for your ideas while blaming you for their failures. The eighth and final red flag is the pattern of credit theft and blame shifting. They position themselves to benefit from your successes while ensuring you bear the cost of any failures, whether those failures are yours or theirs. When you have a good idea or achieve something positive, they find ways to claim involvement or ownership. I was just talking to them about something similar. This was really a team effort. I'm the one who encouraged you to do this. They rewrite the narrative so that your success becomes partially or entirely theirs. This serves two purposes. It diminishes your sense of accomplishment and capability, and it allows them to benefit socially or professionally from your work without having earned it. Over time, this distorts the perception where they appear more capable and you appear less so, even though the reality is opposite. Meanwhile, when things go wrong, whether it's a project you were both involved in or something that's entirely their responsibility, they shift blame to you. "I told you we should do it differently. You were in charge of that part. If you had listened to me, this wouldn't have happened." They protect their image at your expense. This manipulation keeps you off balance. You can't take full pride in your achievements because they're appropriated. You carry shame for failures that weren't your fault. Your self-perception becomes distorted, and you start to believe you're less capable and more error-prone than reality. The pattern reveals their core manipulation. Your success is theirs, but their failure is yours. This dynamic ensures they maintain a superior position while keeping you diminished, which is exactly where they want you for their manipulation to continue working. Breaking free, reclaiming your path to success. Now that you can identify these 8 red flags, let's talk about how to break free from manipulation and reclaim your trajectory toward success. First, validate your perceptions. If you've recognized multiple red flags in someone's behavior toward you, trust that recognition. Manipulators have trained you to doubt yourself, so the first act of liberation is believing your own eyes, your own experience, and your own assessment of the pattern. Document the pattern. Keep records of interactions, statements, and incidents. When you see it written down, the pattern becomes undeniable, and it's harder for the manipulator to gaslight you about it. Documentation also provides clarity when you're doubting yourself. Establish firm boundaries. Decide what behavior you will and won't tolerate, and enforce those boundaries consistently. Manipulators test boundaries constantly, so your consistency is crucial. When they push back, which they will, maintain your position. Reduce or eliminate contact if possible. The most effective way to stop being manipulated is to remove the manipulator's access to you. This might mean ending a relationship, creating distance in a family dynamic, or finding a new job if it's a workplace situation. Your success and well-being are worth protecting, even if separation is difficult. Rebuild your support network. Reconnect with people who believe in you and encourage your growth. Seek out new relationships with individuals who celebrate your success rather than sabotaging it. A strong network makes you less vulnerable to manipulation. Work on rebuilding your self-trust and confidence. Manipulation damages your sense of capability and judgment. Counter this by setting small goals and achieving them, reminding yourself of past successes, and actively challenging the limiting beliefs the manipulator installed. Consider professional help. A therapist can help you process the manipulation, recognize unhealthy patterns, rebuild your self-esteem, and develop strategies for healthier relationships going forward. There's no shame in seeking support for recovering from psychological manipulation. Reclaim your vision for your life. Return to the dreams, goals, and ambitions you had before this person convinced you to shrink them. Give yourself permission to want big things, pursue challenging goals, and believe in your capacity to achieve them. Finally, learn the lessons without letting bitterness consume you. This experience has taught you to recognize manipulation, value genuine support, and protect your energy more carefully. Use that wisdom forward, but don't let this manipulator's toxicity poison your ability to trust or connect with others. You are more capable than they convinced you that you were. Your dreams are more achievable than they led you to believe. Your potential is greater than they allowed you to see. The manipulator's lies about your limitations say everything about their character and nothing about your capabilities. Now that you can see the manipulation clearly, you have a choice. You can continue accepting the limitations they imposed, or you can reject them entirely and pursue the life you're actually capable of creating. You can keep them in your inner circle, or you can protect your peace and potential by removing their access to you. Success isn't just about achieving external goals. It's about becoming the fullest expression of who you're meant to be. And you cannot become that person while someone is actively manipulating you toward failure. You cannot rise while someone is consistently pushing you down. Cut off the manipulation. Reject the limiting beliefs. Surround yourself with people who genuinely want to see you win, and then go out and achieve everything they told you wasn't possible for you. Your success is the ultimate proof that they were wrong, and more importantly, it's the life you deserve to live. You are not who they said you were. You are who you choose to become, and that choice starts today, right now, with recognizing the manipulation and refusing to accept it any longer. Reclaim your power, pursue your dreams, and never let anyone manipulate you into being less than you're meant to be again.